We are live, really excited about today's episode, which is episode 28. It's entitled The Sound of the Genuine, Why Thought Partnership Beats Networking. Larry Gennari is joining us to talk about this topic. We can't wait to sort of dig into that question, why thought partnership beats networking. But let me introduce Larry first. Larry is a corporate and transactional lawyer for 3 decades. He advises public companies, venture-backed or angel finance, private companies, entrepreneurs, investors, and board members. In addition, Larry's longtime teaching at Boston College Law School, his hosting of the annual Authors and Innovators Business Ideas Forum, and his board leadership of one of New England's largest nonprofit organizations reflect his commitment to fostering entrepreneurship and building community. Larry, very, very cool bio there. But before we dive into that, we like to always start by asking our guests, what is one cool networking event you have been to recently?
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for the conversation. I love this. I love that you're doing it. I will say, in terms of the most exciting networking event I've been to, is probably one that I've sort of curated myself and I've been doing for 15 years. I call them roundtable dinners. And I usually have them right out here close on 128. And they're very simple. I pick a slow night on a Monday or Tuesday at a restaurant. I know, because I used to wait tables. And tell them, I'll pick a red, I'll pick a white, I'll pick the menu. Everyone will be my guest. I invite 12 to 15 or so people from different experiences. They could be venture capitalists. They could be entrepreneurs. They could be students. Or they could be alums of my class of project entrepreneurs. So that was, I would say that was my most interesting recent one, because I'm always amazed at the connections people make, that they can make and when they meet. I recall one recent one. One of our clients, who's a dear friend, runs Fancy Pants Baking Company, a great company that makes them here in Massachusetts. And she was able to connect with Amy Lang, whose company runs in-store displays for Costco worldwide. And they got to meet, and now Fancy Pants is in Costco.
Oh, wow.
Wow, what a story.
That's a great connection.
But I would say that it's the kind of connection that people make themselves. And so I'm anxious to talk more about kind of thought partnership and how people lean into authenticity and genuine conversation instead of the transactional kind of hackneyed, geez, you got to go to all of these great events and meet people, and that's the extent of the conversation.
So I love that.
That's my favorite topic. Larry.
Good. Yeah. Place.
Well, so we can't wait to dive into that. We always like to give our guests a chance to talk a little bit about what you do, what's your sort of day job before we do that. So we are chomping at the bit to get to all that stuff. But Larry, tell us a little bit about the law firm, the Authors and Innovators, all that kind of cool. And you were just telling us about another cool.
They all connect. Thank you, Jeff. So I'm speaking to folks from Needham. I'm looking out at Route 128. My office is right in Needham. I'm a corporate securities lawyer and formerly a big law. Spent many years downtown with great colleagues there, but came out here because I wanted to spend more time making those genuine connections with clients at different levels. So to describe the kind and level of clients we have, a lot of entrepreneurs, but I'd say some are major leaguers, public companies, but others are emerging. So it could be AAA, AA, single A, and players. So if someone wants to create a company, we represent at any one time somewhere between 20 and 40 companies. We work with them as general counsel, but we also do a lot of mergers and acquisitions. We probably do 15 to 20 deals a year. We also do a lot of financings, anything from angel financings to private equity financing. So we are that kind of big law firm, corporate lawyers who are out here for a whole host of reasons, for more thought partnership, but also I think for proximity. I've never had so many 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. meetings out here on 128th that I would never have had downtown. Right. So I do that for my day job. I'm also in Needham because I've been an adjunct professor at Boston College Law School for north of 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
And for many, many years, I taught corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions to third-year law students. I now lead a class I created called Project Entrepreneur that we were talking a little bit about before. My law students and I lead a 12-week business legal fundamentals boot camp for outside entrepreneurs who come in, all of whom have criminal records and most all of whom have been formerly incarcerated. So we're helping people create their dreams, find the sound of the genuine, find their why, and reflect it back, which is wonderful. The other couple of things I do, all of these great books behind me, this is how we met, Jeff.
Yes.
I curate an annual business book event called Authors Innovators. And for folks who might be listening, it's authorsinnovators.org. We have some great conversations with authors on that website, but I've also been writing roughly, I think it's about once a month, the monthly book column for the Boston Business Journal for almost 7 years. So I read a lot and I write a lot. I'll take whatever words that the wonderful executive editor Doug Banks will give me, 650 to 700 words. And our event is in late October. And what we try to do is bring together business ideas, share them, and grow awareness. And one of the hardest things to do when you have a business book is to sell it and to promote it. So what we try to do is we'll have an independent bookshop on site. We'll invite some authors to talk about their book, meet some people, and get the word out. And so that's been great fun for us. And so anybody who wants to go on that website will see the people that we have interviewed and featured as part of Authors Innovators, which includes so many of the authors here: Guy Raz from NPR, Stacey Vanek Smith from Planet Money, Julia Boorstin from CNBC, U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, one of my recent favorites, Jackie Jones, who won the Pulitzer this past year in history for No Right to an Honest Living, which is a phenomenal book. So we got to talk about some of these books: connections, thought partnership, and networking. I have some ideas for those.
Yeah.
The other piece of what I do is I spend a fair amount of time with a nonprofit. I chair the board of American Student Assistance, which is asa.org. ASA started out as a student loan guarantor, and now we have decided that the challenge for so many people is that if they got to college and then dropped out, it was for a reason. They didn't fit. They didn't find it, that it met their needs, that it didn't reflect who they wanted to be. And so now we are investing a whole lot of time and money in helping create digital products that go to middle school and high school kids that help them test and try and find their why. And so I'm always reminded of our mantra for every board meeting: stop asking kids what they want to be and start asking them what they love. And that goes to what we've been talking about for networking.
Right.
And so the sound of the genuine, to me, for people is really what we ought to be looking for in networking.
Yeah.
What is the sound of the genuine? The sound of the genuine is a wonderful term that came from the Reverend Howard Thurman, one of my favorite writers from BU. And he talks about human connection and how we are all here for a reason, different reasons, and most often to become our best selves. And so what I try to do both in my practice, but also with our entrepreneurs in Project Entrepreneur, but also with what we do at ASA, is help people connect to the sound of their genuine. So across everything and across networking, it really is about discernment, human connection, and thought partnership, or at least it should be.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that's kind of where I start and end.
Yeah. And I have to just jump in here because you've talked a lot about thought partnership versus networking. So I think anyone who's been listening is probably wondering, can you expand a little bit on what you mean?
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit about it before we jumped on, but I'm excited to jump into that because I love your take.
So thanks, Amelia. So I think for better or for worse, my view of networking is that it is overused, hackneyed, and reflects this kind of transactional approach to connecting with people. And fairly or unfairly, when people talk about networking events, maybe that's what you want, and maybe that's a fine thing to do. But I think that view, combined with so much of the technology that is ubiquitous these days, is contributing to this depersonalization, this loneliness, this lack of connection that so many people seem to experience. And so thought partnership, I think about thought partnership as this process of collaborative communication, collaborative work, where people get together and solve problems and create value together. And that's different than networking. So networking simply means I'm going to hand out my business cards and great, let's do some business together. Can often be kind of the last conversation or the last part of it, all of which is fine at a certain level if you go in with the intention that that's what you want. I think that there's a whole more satisfying level of connection. It's what I would say all of us, both on these screens and this conversation, but so many people listening, because they're trying to think through this, is I love this concept that, frankly, it was Alison Pugh in The Last Human Job, by the way, which I highly recommend to everybody who wants to think about networking. Sorry for my tags on there. I'm thinking about another BBJ column.
All right, I'm writing it down.
And it talks about this concept of connective labor. And by connective labor, she means this collaborative work of emotional recognition. It starts with deep, authentic listening, and then it evolves to reflecting back. But it has the end concept is that people feel seen. And that's something that is so hard to do with this concept of I've been to 5 networking events. That's great. But how did they help you? How did they help you think more deeply about the world? How did they help you find that sound of the genuine, which I would kind of define as the same as ikigai, which in whatever you do, you're sorting out 4 basic questions if you're in business or you're on LinkedIn. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you get paid to do? And so those are important things, but they also reflect people who want to become their best selves. And that's different than pure networking. Networking is this concept just kind of sorting out, weeding out, and the like. I'd be interested in what all of you think. So let me ask you all this question. Will you if you just get this random connection request on LinkedIn? Hey, Jeff. Hey, Taylor. Hey, Amelia. You seem to be in business. We should know each other. What do you do with that?
It's funny.
Taylor.
Go ahead, Taylor.
No, I was just going to say, first and foremost, Larry, I mean, I think this needs to be a 2-hour podcast because I have a lot to say. And we're going to get coffee because we have a lot to talk about. I could agree on so many points that you're mentioning. And I love the enthusiasm and the passion. I just had to say that. But yeah, I mean, that to me, I don't feel necessarily, as silly as it might sound, special as a person. Oh, you're in business. It immediately sounds like you want to get something from me, where I use LinkedIn quite a lot. And if I see someone that maybe has a really intricate post about, they're going to be a panel speaker and I can't go, I want to know. I want to formulate that genuine connection. I think LinkedIn, similar to networking, is a great tool, but it's how you use it, right? Tool is the key word there. So if you do a more appointed message, hey, I saw I'm an organizational member for commercial real estate. Hey, I wanted to look into joining this, organization. Would love to pick your brain. Can we get coffee sometime? Absolutely. Sure. You want to learn more about something that I do? Absolutely. You want to just connect in general? Great. But have a little bit more thought there. I'm always happy to connect, but don't make me feel like I'm just a number. No one wants to feel like they're a number.
Yeah, or part of an algorithm.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think of that?
Yeah. So personally, I would still accept the invite and I would still meet with them. But that's because I am under the true belief that you never know who you know and where people might lead you. That being said, And also, like, some people just stink at messaging. Like,
I also don't I disagree with you, Amelia, but just overall feedback on that method, right?
Yeah. And so I try to judge people based on the first interaction I really have with them. And I don't qualify just a random message. I will say, though, that, for example, when you talk about the AI and the kind of automatic responses. So I used to actually, my LinkedIn, I've changed my name on LinkedIn. So my first name is Catherine. So I used to have a C period. And I actually could filter out spam.
Right.
Easy that way.
Hello, Catherine.
I could not tell you how many times people be like, hi, C dot, comma, da da da, and whatever. So that is where I agree, where I actually would decline those, because I would say you're a bot. Like, obviously my name isn't C dot.
And if you think it really is, and you continue with a long message, maybe we should meet.
Right, exactly. So there's definitely a strategy behind having a more in-depth conversation. What I really liked was you talked about was more active listening, and approaching networking from that perspective of truly trying to understand and develop a relationship with the person, because that is thought partnership. It brings me back to a conversation I had with an old coworker. He had attended his first networking event. It was a chamber event, and he came back and he was so frustrated. He was like, everyone seemed like they didn't want to have a conversation with me. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's take that a step back. What do you mean by that? Because you have to remember, like, I know Jeff's a member of a chamber. I used to be a member of the chamber, a chamber as well. I know Taylor and Larry, you've gone to chamber events. A lot of people at those events, this is their socialization. They're there to build relationships. So if you're showing up and passing business cards out, people, they say, oh, okay, that's a very telltale sign of being transactional. So I had a conversation and was like, well, what were you trying to get out of it? Were you trying to build relationships, or were you trying to get their business? Because people can pick up that vibe. And if they are truly in there trying to build relationships and they think you're there just trying to get a business deal done, they don't want to interact with you. It's nothing personal. You just have, your alignment is different. So next time you go to the event, don't pass out your business card right away. Have a little bit of a conversation first. And if it's a conversation worth continuing, say, hey, I think there's a lot of alignment here. I want to meet other people as well. Do you have a business card, or can we connect on LinkedIn? Because I would love to connect and continue the conversation. And that's really the difference, I think, that you're pointing out between strategic, networking versus thought partnership.
And there's the in-person piece of it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jeff, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So, it's funny that you say that, because somebody just did this to me the other day. They were just like, hey, we should get coffee. And I was like, okay. Like, whatever.
I mean, talk about your IT needs.
Never. No, yeah. There was nothing there. I have no idea what this coffee is going to be about, but it's okay. But it's really interesting. It's funny because, like, I have a call right after this one at this evening with a woman. So I talk about middle management. My book was about middle management. I talk about middle management. There's this woman in Australia that also talks about middle management. And I just sent her a note and be like, hey, I've seen your posts. I've been following you. We both talk about middle management. I would love to. I just am always interested in talking to other people who talk about this topic because I'm so passionate about it. Would you like to hop on a call? And so we finally are, having this. I think I sent her a copy of my book, and I read her book, whatever. But to your point, it was like, there was definitely more than like just a transaction there. And frankly, I don't really have anything that I want from her. I just wanted to, I just want to expand my network. But it's interesting. I think I would say my answer to your question is it depends. There are some people, when they reach out to me and I just look at what they do and I'm like, this is a sales thing. There are other people where I'm not sure, and I will respond and sort of, like, I had this one woman, she reached out to me. It was kind of like a weird pitch. So I was like, I don't know what to make of this. Is she looking for something? Is she not? And so I just wrote back. I said, I'm not sure if you're trying to pitch me, but I'll bite. And then the reaction I got led me to believe that her bot is not only it was not only a bot, but her bot is falling down on the job.
I work from home for $7.50 an hour. You can too. Yeah.
It's like don't like when I told you I'm willing to talk to you, don't then respond to me with a canned bot response. Like I just literally I just told you I was going to get on the phone with you. So I've never talked to that person. So it's just, I don't know. It's interesting, but I think what you're getting at is a fundamental idea that we end up talking about a lot. And I like your take on it is to sort of think of it as thought partnership, is that fundamentally networking needs to be about relationship building. And the only way you can build a relationship is to share ideas, not business cards. And I think that's kind of, the idea that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think we all need to be more conscious of in-person, both in-person networking, but also in-person connecting.
Yeah.
I love LinkedIn for its breadth, and I love it for the ability to be able to follow different markets, different geographies, different people, and really dig into that and see what events are happening. But I do have a very strong preference for the personal. And I think that there are a lot of us still trying to figure out how AI and how these new technologies are going to disintermediate us from other people. And it is very easy if we're not intentional. So what I tell my students, what I tell my entrepreneurs is, if there is a choice, right? If there's a choice of communication, sometimes virtual is the only way to start that conversation. Then do a Zoom. So you can talk to people, you can see people, you can connect to people, you can reflect back. If you are able to, in any way, shape, or form, lean into these kind of in-person events that provide space for it, you should totally do that. So it's one of the things that I tell my entrepreneurs in Project Entrepreneur. These are people who are coming home after having been incarcerated. And I think part of meeting so many amazing entrepreneurs and so many people through a Project Entrepreneur, it's really encouraged me to really step back and think, what has this person kind of gone through? We've got 70 plus million people in the US with a criminal record. By 2030, 100 million people will have a criminal record. And one of the things that people coming home so crave and so want is a broader, deeper network, and to be thinking about something other than the worst thing that they've ever done. And if you can find a way to get them to think about their sound of the genuine, their excitement, and start to appreciate thought partnership, not transactional partnerships per se. That might be what landed them kind of in there in the first place. But start with the mentorship that we bring in. So folks go through a 12-week program. They they're assigned a law student, and I can't think of a better way for people who want to be, who really want to be people who are in the connective labor business, to test and try and find their own style of doing that. But my business mentors who come in start to appreciate, I think, their own gifts and their own uniqueness more as they're sitting and saying, well, who am I going to talk to? What do I know about a laundromat? But you do, because you're a person in the world. And as a mentor, you can ask questions, which is really what so much of deep and authentic conversations are about and are grounded in. So if it's a laundromat, is it going to be cash? You're going to take credit cards? Is it going to be fold and dry? Are you going to use an app? Are you going to do delivery? All of those things are amazing. And I'm so excited to see the entrepreneur and the law students and the business mentor really come alive with excitement about that kind of thought partnership. And it really helps them understand what I start with when I'm talking to somebody who's thinking, do I really want to do this program? I'm talking to you because somebody said it would be good. I start with Ikigai, of course, but it also starts with the basic premise that whether you call it transactional or not, you can never have enough friends. And we know now, even with AI, with young people searching for jobs, AI is doing, for some companies, AI is doing the first screen.
Yeah,
of
a lot of times.
And so when you think, still to this day, I was looking at some stat, probably in one of the books I was reading, still talks about how 80% of jobs people find through a warm lead.
Yes.
Where's that warm lead come from? It comes from one of us. It comes from saying, hey, it comes from a dinner, one of these sort of roundtable dinners that I'm doing. Put smart people together, give them credit for authenticity, give them credit for rapport, give them credit for finding the sound of the genuine in someone else.
Yes.
And good stuff happens. And this has been kind of my thought experience over 15 plus years.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there, Larry, because I think I was at a networking event. I think it was 2 weekends ago, where it was a bunch of folks that are connected through a group that helps people find in career searches and whatever. And I was having this conversation with someone about that very thing. They're like, I just don't like the idea of just going and networking and talking to people that I basically am asking for a job from. I just don't feel good about it. And I'm like, then don't ask for the job. Just go and have a conversation. But I just think it's fascinating because we don't tend to train people how to do what you're talking about. And so they end up just doing whatever sort of seems obvious to them, which unfortunately is the instinct is not good. So Taylor and Amelia and Steve and our other co-host and I are later this week going to be doing an event with Bentley College, where we're going to be talking to students and alums about how to network. And we're going to do that again at UMass Boston, wherever. And it's just a really interesting, I think, opportunity with students to sort of give them some skills and tell them how to do this thing that people find so daunting. Well, listen, I think Taylor said it about 10 minutes ago. We could absolutely talk with you, Larry, for the next 2 hours, but unfortunately, here we are. It's like 25 minutes. It's
round 2 with Larry, and
I know we need a
Let me give 3 quick things. You're going to talk to the
students. Yes, please.
So I'm going to tell you, because I tell my own students this. All right, 3 quick tips for quote. Let's say connection, not networking. 1, choose the human. When in doubt or when thinking about alternatives, choose the human. I could just text them. Well, you could. If there's a way to make a human connection, choose the human. 2, read or listen if you're an audiobook person.
Yes.
Broadly, widely, think about things, be intentional. This is one of my favorites. Brand new book, The Explorer's Gene, Why We Should All Be Exploring More. Also something that we all ought to be thinking about, particularly if we're connected to those students who we love. The extinction of experience. Okay? Just posting something or just seeing something is not the same as being there. So read or listen intentionally, broadly. And then the third, I would say, add connection to every task. Whatever you're going to do, add connection to every follow-up. So I'd say choose the human, read and think broadly, and add connection to everything you're doing. So
love it. Awesome. So amazing. This has been such a great conversation. I feel like it's just the beginning. We will have to have you on again, Larry. But our question that we like to sort of wrap up with, and we're going to let you start, Larry, is can you tell us what's a cool event you've got coming up?
Thank you so much. So the thing I'm most excited about, 2 things I'm most excited about. Project Entrepreneur starts in September. If you are listening and you are a business mentor or you're a returning citizen and you want to think about what Project Entrepreneur looks like, email me. Let's talk. Or hit me up on LinkedIn and tell me you watch this rather than you want to sell me accounting services. We got that covered. And then 2, take a look at authorsinnovators.org. That's a separate website. We have a big event coming up in October. If you know of a book that was published this year and it gets you excited or you want to meet the author, also send me a note. But take a look, even if you don't have time to read a book, take a look at some of the videos we have on there and lean into learning. One of the things that I recommend everybody ought to do.
Awesome. Larry, before I give my event, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I would say shoot me a note on LinkedIn, tell me to watch the podcast, or shoot me a note at Gennari, Gennari at bc.edu. That's sometimes easier to get me than my law firm site, which is galawpartners.com.
Awesome. Terrific. Well, I will go next. There are so many things. We've talked about the Bentley thing this week. We're super excited about that. I actually am excited because I'm going to one of your dinners, Larry. So that's
be fun.
Exciting. But I guess the event that I will talk about, just to plug myself a little bit, is I am part of the American Marketing Association of Boston, and they have graciously let me do a presentation next Thursday evening. It's a virtual presentation called Right in the Middle, and all about how to be a great middle manager. And that is my that'll be talking about me, my book, etc. So I'm really excited about that. So plugging myself a little bit there, and I will pass it over to, I don't know, Taylor and Millie. Do you want to fight it?
I mean, we already talked about it. The event I'm excited about is the Bentley event. I've actually never spoken on a panel like this that we're doing, so I'm really excited. It's just funny because I'm also going to be moderating a panel in another month here. So it all just kind of happened all at once. I'm really excited. But the Bentley one, I just think it's going to be a great event. It's our first in-person event as a podcast group together. So
that's great.
I think it's going to be great.
And Taylor, bring us home.
I'm equally as excited. I think being able to just share knowledge, give back is just one of my favorite things. So that's very exciting. Outside of that, I have a Shawmut Constructions hosting a coffee and conversations tomorrow morning, which is nice. I love a morning kind of connect, and it's all about, in their slag line, it says no business cards, no pitching. It is just conversation. So it's a beautiful thing. I love it. It's just genuine conversations, meeting folks, and it's a great way to start your day. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Larry, it has been so great to have you on. So great to hear your thoughts.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you all.
Larry.
Can't wait to be with you one-on-one as well.
Yeah, we definitely will have to stay in touch, and I'm sure we will have you on again. Thank you so much.
Amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.